Well, that is certainly one of the coldest gates I've ever had to open. It's absolutely freezing. As you can see, half the lake looks frozen from here, and all the normal day ticket lakes that we fish in Essex, they're all frozen too. Thankfully, Ben at Cleverley Fisheries has allowed us to come here, breaks pit, and there's quite a few fish in here, so there's a good chance of some action, but we are really up against it. You know, it is absolutely Baltic. Temperature gauge in the van, -3.5 degrees. And yeah, it doesn't get any more difficult than what you see out there. We're going to be fishing at long range. We've been tipped off that it's a good area by a sunken boat up there. So we're going to go through all the tactics and tips that I use when fishing at long range. How's about that for a feature? I've certainly never fished across to a sunken gravel extractor or whatever that is over there. They call it the barge, I think. And next to that you've got two massive great barrels, and they're there to keep the extraction pipe, it looks like, to take water out of the lake. And yeah, obviously it's almost like a floating island, and the things that are holding that in place are two ropes to stop it drifting into the bank. Not by design, it's sort of created what you'd say like an out of bounds area, you know, a roped off sort of zone where the fish can get. By what we've heard, it's a good spot where the fish like to gather. So I'm not going to go straight in and cast straight out. I'm going to put the bivvy up, tie some rigs, and you never know, you might see a fish. And although I haven't been told about this, there's an inflow pipe over there, and even in cold water I've seen it many times. If it's disturbing the bottom, the fish are just drawn to it like a magnet. So yeah, I'm going to keep an eye on that as well. Get the bivvy up, tie some rigs, and we'll take it from there. Well, still not seen anything yet. I've been looking, just changed over my spools. I had fluorocarbon on and I've changed over to tapered subline. It's not a massive cast across there, but it definitely helps to have a tapered line on, or a thinner line to cast it, probably 100 yards. You know, it's doable with fluorocarbon, but with the tapered line it just makes it so much easier. And this is what this piece is going to be about, fishing at relatively long range, and yeah, showing you sort of the techniques and the tactics that I use to do so. I'm going to get a few of these hinge stiffies tied up. I'm going to go with three hinge stiffies, probably fish 3 on the same spot. I think it's probably, or at least 2 on the same spot over some maggots, and then I might have one on a sort of a roving single pop-up, just in case they don't find that actual bed of maggots. With the rigs that I'm using, should a fish show at any point during this session, I'll be able to wind in one of the rods and cast to it knowing that it's presented. The swim I chose got a really obvious feature in it. It's got some floating barrels and they're tied off of ropes. So it's really important when you cast into snags, islands, or a feature like this, that you clip up first with a leading rod. You know, once I've tied up my rigs, I don't want to be losing them on the ropes or hooking up on those barrels. So I'm going to take the leading rod, make a few casts, get them as close to the barrels as is safe, and then I'll just measure it out around the distance sticks and do my fishing rods exactly the same. I'm all ready to go, ready to put my first rig out there. I've clipped up, and it's a good job I had, because the sun is directly on the line I'm casting, so I'm probably going to lose the line of sight of it as it's in the air. But hopefully I'm all clipped up and it should be okay. So let's get it out there. Decided to put all of my rods under those barrels because I hadn't seen anything. You know, without seeing any fish, there's no point in casting a single to it. but I've gone in with 30 spombs of maggots. You know, it's really cold, they won't be feeding a lot, and I know that's a lot of bait, but maggots go through them really easily, and I really need something down there that's going to generate a feeding response. Well, the day's coming to an end. The sun's just dropping down behind the big band of sand over the back there. And I've got all the rods in position. It's all gone really well. Load of bait out there to try and generate some interest. And yeah, it's a good time of the day, you know. I'm here kicking back, got the kettle on, a few little bits to tidy up around me. And yeah, I'll settle in to see what the night brings. I have seen a fish actually, which I couldn't cast to, unfortunately. Still half the lake, still frozen. And it showed really tight to the far bank, and I'm guessing it's not in very deep water, which is quite interesting. You know, a lot of the lake's really deep, and I imagine that one wasn't in very deep water. So it's a good sign. The fish are on the move, active. Wasn't anywhere near me, to be fair, but like I say, I can't cast it because of the ice. And maybe tomorrow, if that defrosts, then it'll be there'll definitely be a single going over there to see if there's any fish about. But for now, the rod's in position. I'm going to kick back, and we'll see you in the morning for an update on how it's gone.
Well, space is there, and the moon and the planets are there, and new hopes for knowledge and peace are there. And therefore, as we set sail, we ask God's blessing on the most hazardous and dangerous and greatest adventure on which man has ever embarked.
Well, things haven't really gone to plan. I know I always advocate getting up at first light, looking for fish, and trying to keep on them, but we woke up this morning and there's a lid on the lake, so there's absolutely zero chance of seeing something, so there's absolutely no point in getting out of the bag and getting freezing cold, so taking advantage of a lie in. But the rods are still in position, so there is a very small chance, you know, whether there's any fish over there I don't know, but yeah, we've got the day, and going to try and fill you in on the tactics of long range fishing, the rigs that I use, and the importance of the components that help you to fish at long range, trying to do something productive with what is otherwise an absolute waste of a day's fishing. We all talk about long range rods and long range reels, you know. I've got the Longbow X45s in 3.75, which are a great casting rod, great tip recovery, minimum guides to help that tip recovery, and a really nice carbon, lightweight. And I've got the Bezier reels, you know, the custom ones. They've got a great line lay again, really lightweight, and that helps you to generate good power through the cast. But even if you haven't got great casting rods and great casting reels, or even if you have, the key thing that's really going to help you cast further is the diameter of the line. You know, I've used tapered subline for many years now, including in its testing process, and one of the benefits is you don't have a leader knot, so you haven't got to worry about that clattering through the rings, and also on many waters that gets you around the leader bands that some places have. The key to long range fishing is the thin diameter line, and I would recommend something 0.33 down to 0.30, or if it's really open water, then you might go as low as 2.8. But the key thing on the end of it is the 0.50 leader. It comes in lengths of, I think it's 50 feet, and I recommend that you cut that in half. That's more than enough to take the brunt of the powerful cast, gets you down onto the thin line nice and quickly, and that's what travels through the rings really easily. Well, the sun's come out and the bivvy's defrosted. I've managed to get it dry and rolled up, so I'm going to try and make a mad dash for it while it's reasonably warm and everything is dry as such. Not seen any fish. The lake's still got a lid on it, obviously, so nothing's going to be seen jumping. But I've not even had a line that suggests that there's any reason to stay. You know, I don't know if there's any fish out there or not. So like I say, I'm gonna make a hasty retreat. But I'm going to run you through the rig that I'm demonstrating here for long range fishing. There's many that you can use. You know, there's various rigs that I've used, but this one in particular is showing all of the sort of trademark things that will help you achieve good distances. You know, a small hook bait for no drag, a stiff rig. You know, this is a hinge stiff rig made from 20-pound mouth trap for the hook section and 25-pound boom for the boom section. Both of them are really easy to straighten. You put 2 puller tools on them, put them under tension, and as you can see, they come out lovely, stiff and straight like that. The hook section's got a little curve in it, and what that does is help the hook to take hold in the mouth. But the real key thing of the hinge stiff rig is its anti-tangle properties in this situation. You know, it's a rig that in the dark or when you lose sight of it at long range in the air, you can guarantee that that is not going to tangle with those stiff products. Moving on from that, I'm using a heli-safe system. Helicopter rigs are excellent for long range, and in this situation, I've got the top bead set at 4 to 5 inches from the lead, and that just allows for the lead to plummet into the silt. You know, it's quite soft out there, maybe sand or silt, and that just allows for the hook link to lay over the top. And the other key thing about the heli-safe system is the ability to drop the lead. You know, a lot of times when you're fishing at long range, using 3, 4, 5 ounce weights, and with monofilament at long range, there's a lot of stretch, and you never really truly get a really tight line to it, and that enables the fish to really shake its head, and in some situations with a big lead, it could dislodge the hook from the fish's lip. So the heli-safe, although great for weed, it also stops and helps to prevent hook pulls at long range just by under tension, like that, away it goes, and then you're in a perfect direct contact to the fish and not worrying about that lead trying to free the hook. The hinge stiff rig is a rig that I've caught loads of big carp on, particularly when fishing at long range. If you ever find yourself in a situation where you're trying to cast a long way and you're worried about tangles, look no further than the hinge stiff rig. I couldn't recommend it highly enough. Well, that's me. I'm going to take the opportunity to get out of here. I really don't think anything's going to happen. The lake's, like I say, 90% frozen. It's time for home.